Hello, friends. I'm Kush Khandelwal, and this is Ageless Athlete. A few years ago, I started asking questions that would not leave me alone. Why do some people keep pushing mentally, physically, spiritually long after others burn out or break down? What does it really mean to age well when you still crave movement, meaning, and mastery? This show is my search for answers. Each week, I talk to elite athletes, everyday adventurers, and pioneering researchers who are stretching the limits of what's possible across age, injury, illness, and self doubt. You will hear hard won lessons, untold stories, and science backed strategies for building a body and mindset that lasts. For those of us joining for the first time, welcome to the show. For the rest, thank you for joining us again. Time is our most valuable asset, and I deeply appreciate you giving me your time today. Hi, friends. This week on Ageless Athlete, we have the extraordinary privilege of sitting down with Fred Pompermayer, a visionary adventure photographer who has redefined the art of capturing big wave surfing. Fred's journey is as inspiring as it is unique, taking him from a landlocked town in Brazil to the forefront of action sports photography. Fred's work has graced the covers of major surf magazines, been featured in prestigious publications like National Geographic, and earned him multiple nominations for the XXL Big Wave Awards. His images don't just document surfing, they capture the raw power of nature and the indomitable spirit of those who challenge it. Interestingly, Fred sees parallels between big wave surfing and other adventure sports, recognizing the universal elements of risk, skill, and human determination that transcend specific disciplines. Known for letting his breathtaking images speak for themselves, Fred rarely steps into the spotlight or gives interviews. Today, he's graciously agreed to share his story with us, offering an unprecedented glimpse into the life and mind of this exceptional artist. From selling his bicycle as a boy to buy his first surfboard, to sneaking out university cameras for beach trips, Fred's determination to merge his passion for adventure with photography has been evident from the start. His path would eventually lead him from the rivers of Brazil to the iconic waves of California, where he would transform his passion into a thriving career that inspires adventure seekers worldwide. Join us for this exclusive interview as Fred shares his remarkable journey from architecture student to world-renowned adventure photographer. Through his lens and his words, we'll explore the intersection of art and athleticism and discover how a landlocked boy's dream grew into a life dedicated to showcasing the majesty of the ocean and the courage of those who challenged it. Also, I want to thank Nick Martinez for this lovely introduction to Fred. Nick was on the podcast quite recently, and you need to go back and listen to Nick. Fred, bom dia.
Bom dia, and thanks for having me. I am in Los Angeles in my house, in my office, and I have for breakfast avocado toast and black coffee.
How Californian of you with that breakfast.
California style for sure.
Excellent. Are you like a coffee connoisseur? Do you grind your coffee in the morning and then slow drip prepare it? How do you take your coffee?
I'm not like a extreme in coffee, but yeah, I like to try different coffees. Always black coffee. I don't like to mix much like cream or milk stuff. I like to go straight forward, and yeah.
I have my own cup right here, and I like to drink it out of a thermos. It saves paper, if you go buy it, but it also keeps it hotter for longer, which means I can keep enjoying it for like 2 hours.
Nice. I want to try that.
Fred, I immediately notice you have this big, expansive office. And for those of us who are listening on audio, beautiful office with some of your amazing photography behind you. Can't wait to dig into some of these stories. But yeah, tell us, Fred, who are you and what do you do?
I am a professional photographer, maybe professional adventure photographer, and specialize in big wave surfing.
Besides big wave photography, you also have dabbled into some other realms and can't wait to hear about some of those, let's say, detours. But, let's go back a little bit. Can you talk about how you got into photography, maybe some of your early interests? What I always have fun asking is something like, what was your first camera?
My first camera was a Pentax K1000. Was way back in the days and shooting film, everything manual. It was a good way to start photography to understand how the lights go to the camera, everything. So these days everything's digital. You see right away what you got. It's much different than back in the days. You have to understand the process to. So before you shoot, you have to understand the process to capture, and then try and try and try until you figure it out, like to understand to get the perfect exposure, stuff like that. And my introducing to a professional cameras was in college. I choose a class as a photography class. We have this class for 2 years in university, and where I understand the cameras, the light room, stuff like that, and I have access with the professional cameras. I didn't have a camera back in the days in this point because in Brazil, growing up in Brazil was kind of is different, and it's hard to access the camera, the gears. So in the college was where I had the opportunity to try different lens, different cameras, and understand more. So that is the beginning of the photography career.
Were you interested in taking photos or adventure photos because you were out on trips and you saw these beautiful places? So, by the way, I had a nice mirrorless camera, and for a few years I dabbled in taking surf photos and climbing photos. And then I think I got overwhelmed, so my camera is now gathering dust. But for me, the motivation to invest in the gear and start taking photos was because I thought I was going to these incredible landscapes and witnessing, these amazing athletic feats, and I wanted those to be documented. So that was my motivation. I'm curious, what was your motivation? Were you interested in photography first or adventure first?
I think I was always a adventure kid, like I always want to do something, I want to explore, I want to see everything, I want to do all kind of activities. Growing up in Brazil, like I lost my dad when I was almost before a year and a half. So I never have a dad, then I never have a parents to take me out. So I discover everything on my own. Was not easy. I remember like back in the days, I wish so much as a dad to take me fishing or take me to go to adventure. So I didn't have this person to guide me. So I learned everything on my own. At every opportunity that I get, every time someone invited me to go for something, for some trips. So I always, I was excited to do something else, and definitely on adventure first, and then the photography. So, and then I started doing, came from skateboarding, and then when I got a teenager, I really was fascinated with water since I was a kid. Even living so far from the ocean, I always fascinated with surfing stuff. But I live like 4 or 5 hours from the beach. It was kind of strange, to be honest. Like I was so passionate from the ocean and surfing. I follow magazine stuff, but I was not a surfer. But I into kayaking, whitewater kayaking. My town has a big river, and next to my town has this good like a raft river. So and then I get into kayaking, and then I start competing kayaking. We travel like in Brazil, went to South Brazil for competing like nations competition, and I think that's the time I really like to have images, like capture. To be honest, I don't have a skateboarding image. I don't have a kayak image because back in the days, it's not like today. Everybody has a phone to capture or take photos. Back in the days, here and there, you see someone with professional camera take some good photos. And for sports, you need to have you need to understand photography. You need to have a right equipment to get good photos. Like this point shoot camera, never is good. Here and there, someone takes some point shoot photos, but it was not the same. Like someone like a professional on the sport. So I think always in my mind, I want to capture this moment, because when you're there, you see moments going to your eyes all the time. You see this beautiful landscape, the nature stuff, but you never capture. So I think it over the years, this started going to my I wanna start doing this, and then start surfing. When I was able to go to the ocean by myself driving, I I was able to go more often to surfing. And surfing is still more complicated because to taking picture of surfing, or you have like this mega expensive lens, or have someone in the water. So, and back in the day, it was even like you don't see people much in the water, or the big lens in the beach. So I always want to capture photos me surfing or my friends surfing. And then when I was in university, I be able to get this camera. And I remember I supposed to be not doing that, but I took the camera to the beach to take surfing, but I supposed to be using the camera for a project in the school. I remember a few times I took like for or a hiking in the mountains or in the beach. I remember capturing these surfing photos, even to my first time I climbing too. I remember me and my friend took this camera from the school. Yeah, I think it definitely, first it was the adventure side, and then the photography came like a right away, right after.
I think your camera needed vitamin D, and you gave it a chance to get some
Yeah.
sun outside. And
Or vitamin C.
vitamin, yeah, exactly. It needed to be outside, and it's yeah. Sometimes you need to bend the rules a little bit to
Yeah.
get ahead and try new things. And I also resonate with what you said about you were several hours from the ocean and you got into surfing. I grew up in a landlocked city myself, big city, no ocean for like thousands of miles. And I think that was partly part of my draw in being attracted to surf. It felt like this incredible element that I didn't have in my backyard. So when I finally got exposed to it, it was just incredible. Like, yeah, I just love it for a sight. You focused on on surfing early in your career, even though your sport was primarily kayaking. Kayaking also happens in beautiful places in the mountains, in amazing rivers and wild environments. Curious, why did you not also want to make beautiful art with white water?
I think kayaking was just to feel this space, this connection with water. Was not exactly my thing doing kayaking, but I was not able to enjoy the ocean how much I like to. I went to kayaking. It's more about be connected with the water and feel this straight connection with the nature, and kayaking is pretty amazing. And I did this like not long. I did it from when I was 15, I think 15 years old until 17. 17, I was already moving to surfing, but my mind was always surfing. I collected magazines, like I collect a bunch of magazines, surfing magazine, and one day I decided to cut this all the best photos in all this collection, and I started gluing my wall side to side. I didn't leave any space in the
Mm.
wall. So I growing up, you watching my room from all the walls around, from the top to the bottom. Look, all these beautiful photos from Indonesia, from Hawaii, from Tahiti, from Fiji, perfect waves. So I think that thing went to my mind. Like, I want to see that in my real. I want to see like, I want to have my experiences seeing that. And not only in the images. I want to go and travel and see these waves. So I was fascinated with surfing more than anything. I went to the beach a few times with my mom because my mom was single mom, was we never have a dad, so we didn't have much chance to travel. But I remember my mom took me a few times to the beach, and I was really young at this point. I was probably 7, 8 years old, and I remember these guys put surfboard in the roof of the car, the hotel we were. I think this was amazing. I want to be next to these guys. I want to hear stories. No, I still remember. It was incredible. And then my aunt started taking me to the beach like once a year for 2 weeks. So I waited the entire year to go to this vacation, 2 weeks vacation in the beach. So I spent like every day
Sure.
to the beach. And I remember one day I come back, I was 12. I come back from the beach for this trip. I come back home and I sold my bike to buy a surfboard. So
Wow.
I remember my aunt told my mom, "Hey, you gonna let your son to do that? He even go to the beach. He's gonna sell his bike to buy a surfboard." So I didn't mind. I sold my bike. I got this money, and I remember I bought this old board, like a fiberglass board. I was so proud of just to go one time in a year in the beach. So I have a surfboard. So I was considering I was surfer because I wanna. So that's how much I was into surfing.
I've been thinking a lot about energy, not just in training, but in recovery, in focus, in how we age. So when I came across NutriSense, it hit home. It's a program that pairs a 24 by 7 glucose biosensor with a dedicated dietitian to help you understand how your body responds to food, stress, sleep, and movement, and then act on the data. I chose it because I wanted something real, not another hack or one size fits all plan, just honest insight into what's actually going on inside me and how to build habits that last. NutriSense has helped over 150,000 people take that step. And if you want to try it, you can get 33% off your first month with code Ageless15 at nutrisense.io. Again, that's nutrisense.io, code Ageless15. You can also find this information on the show notes for this episode. You had these images of surf and the ocean in your bedroom walls. And that was transformative for you because that lit the spark. Somebody who had not yet started surfing, you saw those pictures and you wanted to go to the ocean. I wonder if you ever think about all the other people in the world out there who might have your pictures in their bedrooms and
Exactly.
get called to explore the outdoors because of that vision that you imprinted on their
Yeah.
imaginations.
Yeah, I feel like that's the mission. My mission is to show, inspiring people to go out and enjoy the real life, because these days we are connected with this crazy world about technology and social media stuff, and people forget about it's not only about seeing stuff, like it's about to experience it yourself. Yeah.
Amazing. Fred, you decided at some point to pursue photography professionally. Seems like you left a perfectly good career in architecture to become a photographer. And then you also moved to the States. So, just trying to get a timeline here, did you first become a professional photog living in Brazil? Or did you find an opportunity in America to move out here, do this full time? How did that take shape?
Okay, let's go back a little bit. I studied 5 years architecture school. So in my last year, I decided to take a break and travel to California because I grew up hearing about surfing California. California was big back in the days about surfing. We always hear about California, California, And I say I always want to come, but it's not like financially.
And
It's not
sorry,
always.
you were hearing about California, but what about like a place like Hawaii? I would think Hawaii would score at least as highly in your worldview.
California, like where everything started, like skateboard and surfing and Hawaii is the best wave, the best quality, the biggest
Mm,
wave. But California has a lot of
mhm,
story, history about,
mm,
and my plan is to take a break and live in California for a year. So I'm not planning to
mm,
live in Hawaii. So I was planning living in California for a year and travel around, see everything I like to see, especially big wave surfing because Mavericks was
mhm.
one, one of my destination. I always want to go. And yeah, and then I took this break in my school. Everybody was freaking out. Like my professor was saying, "No, you have to finish you have to finish and then you go, finish then you go, because if you go, you're not gonna come back." My family too, so you have to finish your school. If you go, but in my mind, I was clear in my mind. If you don't go before I finish school, when I finish school, I start working, and then I will never have a chance to take this big break. So, and then I stopped my I took a break on my university in the last semester. Well, I was in my graduation semester, so I took a break. I sold my car. I sold everything I have, and yeah, I didn't have much money. And then I came to California because I have at that point I have a good friend from my town that was living in California. And then I came to California. I remember I came with not much money. Back in the day, it was $5,000 or something like that. And I stayed with him like for a couple of weeks, and then I have to figure out my way to stay because my idea is to stay longer. I got this job as delivery driver for food. So in this
Oh,
Brazil, it was way back in the days, like before this DoorDash or Uber Eats. There is
oh yeah.
no app. I went to this Brazilian restaurant that's a bunch of Brazilian works as driver, and then I started working there. It was pretty good. Like you can have your own schedule, and you can take a day off if you want, and if you needed to take a week off, you just bring someone to work your shift, and was perfect for me. So I work for a week or two and then take a week vacation. And so I did this for the whole year. I was able to travel from all the way from northern California all the way to Baja, Mexico, and we did and then the winter came. I get into snowboarding. It was incredible. Like I did so much snowboard the first year I was here, and then I went to Mavericks. So this was I even know how to get. I didn't know where Maverick was, and I didn't. I was living in LA, and there was surf line back in the days, but they didn't have this forecast like today. I knew this story about Mavericks because let me go back a little bit. In Brazil, we got this magazine. I think it was back in 93, 1993.
Hmm.
I got this
Hmm.
spread. I got this magazine and I see this spread, shit, like a spread follow was Jay Moriarty in this classic
Oh
airdrop in America.
yeah,
I saw
right.
the I saw them photo in the magazine. They blow my mind. I look at the photo and say, hey, this is not real. That's because I always see this blue water, Waimea Bay. We just saw these big waves like a blue, and then we saw this dark ocean with this guy in a lip like a try to drop like a say that's doesn't look real, but that's crazy. And then I started And then was the classic photo of Jay Moriarty. There was they show the world what Maverick is. So, and then I say, I want to go there one day. I want to see this wave. I want to see that. This is all in my mind. I say, I want to go to California, and then I'm going to see Mavericks. And then I knew the story about Jeff Clark and Mavericks, this connection from Maverick. He surfed Mavericks for 15 years by himself. The story about he was goofy and he switched regular to surf. I thought, this guy is insane, like all these stories I knew. And then one day, looking look at this map and forecast, I saw this crazy swell coming to the West Coast. It was bigger than anything I have been seeing for the months I was here. And I said, oh, this is the time to go Mavericks. I want to go. I remember putting my boards in my car. I have a little Mazda. I drove like straight to Santa Cruz by myself. And I got in Santa Cruz. I was driving Santa Cruz going north, and then I saw a surf shop. I said, oh, this is a surf shop. I parked in the surf shop. I got there. I said, hey, do you know where is Mavericks? The guy said, oh, yeah, it's a Half Moon Bay. It's like an hour north. Oh, okay. And then it took like the Highway 1 and continue going. Yeah. And then I remember going Half Moon Bay, and then I saw I saw another surf shop kind of hiding in the Highway 1 with some boards, and stopped there. Hey, where is Mavericks? They say, oh, it is in the harbor there. And then I remember drove it to the cliff, and then Jeff Clark has his store there back in the day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I said, oh, that's Jeff Clark's store. And then I went to the store there, and he was not there. That his secretary, this person was working there. He said, oh yeah, today is very big. Today is very big. You can watch the surf from the cliff. And then I was so excited. I drove it. I parked my car. I drove to the cliff. This ocean was so like a rough ocean, stuff like that. And then I watched for a couple of hours, and then I came back to the store, and then was the biggest Mavericks in history. It was 100-foot Wednesday. November. Okay. Yeah. It was the November 23rd, 2001. They talk about they saw 100-foot set come, and in the point, like Carlos from Brazil won the XXL awards for the biggest wave of the year. Was in that moment. And then I remember coming back. I stopped in Jeff's house, Jeff's store, and he was there. I was so excited. I said, "Oh, I want to take." I took a photo with him. Like I was a big fan. I took a photo of him. I bought his book. He signed his book for me. I was, oh my God, that's amazing. So I was so excited to see this iconic guy like Jeff Clark. And then I saw Carlos. It was one of the big names in Brazil. I met him as a Brazilian, could speak. So, and then after that I came back to LA, and a lot of stuff happened. It was a very intense year. I turned out to be a year and a half.
Sure. A funny question that comes to mind is, you told your restaurant that you would take like a week off, 2 weeks off, but you went away for maybe longer adventures. Were you able to find somebody to keep delivering food while you took off?
Yeah. I always have, some people looking for, for extra cash or money. And the restaurant was a very big in delivery, and there's so much driver. So it was easier for me to ask for a friend, hey, I'm traveling next week. You want to take some of my shift? And so I give you some shift for one guy, another for another. So it was perfect situation, scenario to live in the dream I was imagining. So, and another thing that changed the path of my journey is 3 months before I leave to come back to Brazil to finish my career as an architect. I met this beautiful girl, and we started dating. We dated for a good 3 months, and then I left. So that's is my wife now. So well,
Mm,
that's how
uh,
changed the paths a lot. So I met my wife 3 months before I leave to Brazil, and then I left. Like I was not. I really love her. She was really special, but it was not my intention to, was not planning to marry her or anything. But she was really special for me. And then I moved to Brazil and finishing my school. It was really hard to go back because all my friends already graduated. I jumped to another,
right. You were one year behind
yeah,
everybody.
kind of more than a year. I was kind of really, but I promised my mom that I will definitely finish my career. So I focused and finished my graduation school, my big project for graduation. And then I started working as an architect in Brazil. But in the meantime, I was still in contact with my wife, my girlfriend. So I was back and forth. We were call and then I told her, hey, come to Brazil to visit me. So she came to Brazil. She spent like 2 weeks in Brazil, and we traveled together. And then and then she came back. We stayed like separated for 3 months, and then one time I have opportunity to go visit her where she came from. She grew up in Maryland.
You felt this calling from the ocean. You started to define your life in pursuing, let's say, a risky profession, right? You were an architect, which, like you said, may not pay well, but in many ways is accepted as a stable mainstream profession. I'm sure, your mom would agree, when she was asking you
Yeah,
to go back to school. I want to ask you a slightly broader question. So I have met and I have friends who are from Brazil, and they are some of the nicest, most affectionate people. I feel like when I meet them surfing, climbing, even when I go to dance salsa or forró, they bring so much vitality to whatever they do. But I'm curious, it seems like, is this a national quality to not just to also pursue one's calling with full intensity? I see this perhaps when I was a kid watching football or soccer. I saw the intensity in Brazilian soccer players. Now, when I see surfing, Brazilian surfing dominate the world, I see that same kind of like intensity. So I'm just curious, is this like a national quality where if you find this spark or this fire in you, you are willing to chuck it all and pursue that with full gusto. In fact, even our common friend Nick Martinez, I see that quality in Nick as well, right? He took a chance, gave it all up to come to the US. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this question.
yeah. I think Brazilian live very intense just to see in general. They really enjoy a lot more intense for sure. And Brazil is not easy, it's not easy, but at the same time, it's incredible country, it's incredible like weather and the coastline, everything, forest stuff like that, and also for the reason Brazil there is not much opportunity as like a US like this. When someone see the opportunity, they take it and they
Mm,
take it and make it happen. That's I see in the
mm.
surfers in the surfer. Like if you see the most successful surfer right now in competition, they don't come from they come from like not much, and they saw the opportunity and they are very humble. They wanna make it happen no matter what. That's how I feel. And yeah, and in my case, it's more about enjoy most you can the time you have here. We're so lucky to be alive and live here. I think every moment matter. I try enjoy my every single free time I have. I always like that.
I come from a poor country also, and there are opportunities that perhaps people in America take for granted that are not available to other parts of the world. So when
Yeah,
one is given that, it almost seems wrong to not pursue it, because
yeah,
for every perhaps for every Fred, who was given this opportunity, there are probably 100 others, who never got
yeah.
this chance. So you kind of almost owe it to them to give it all your love and talent. Moving on, Fred, you are renowned for your big wave surf photography. What drew you to this, let's say, niche within the big canvas of surfing? Was it, you talked about, coming to Mavericks, taking a chance. Somehow you got super lucky and were able to witness the wave breaking on the biggest swell. You managed to meet Jeff Clark. So I'm curious, was that some kind of pivotal moment for you where you put your resources into taking big wave photos? Or did you go back and start with, let's say, humbler photography with smaller waves, maybe some of the breaks closer to you, and then slowly evolve into big waves?
After 1 year at work as an architect in Brazil, I decided to follow my passion. My passion was surfing and photography. So because I was not that happy, like go to the office every day to do these projects. I was when I did the architect, I was imagining do some incredible projects, but it was not. The reality is different. The reality for the project was people want a simple house. If you spend less money, and this, like it was not like I was imagining as an architect going like explore my creativity on big scale stuff like that. And then I see, what, I'm gonna follow my passion. Doesn't matter what. I the most important thing is be happy. If I be happy in doing what I love to do, I'm already achieving my, and success is gonna come. Doesn't matter what. If you do a good job, it doesn't matter if you do. The success come. Don't. I tell people, don't go for the money. Go for what you love. If you find a passion, you'll be happy to do what you do, and the success come is a consequence. So, and then I decided to follow my dream to be a surf photographer, and then I moved to South Brazil, and I start shooting surfing in the water. I love it, like a water photography. I bought this water housing. I pack everything in my car and leave in my town. I decided I'm not architect anymore. I was crazy. I was straightforward. Like I'm not architect anymore.
Wow.
I'm moving forward. It was not like a process. I quit. Like I quit. Like I'm not. Yeah. I was really straightforward. I'm not. I'll be a surf photographer. And then I
So
moved.
hang on. So was it, your wife was making good money as an English? So yeah, curious where that came in. Friends, it means a lot that you're here. I pour a ton of heart into the show. The research, the interviews, the editing, it's all me, trying to share stories that matter. If Ageless Athlete has ever made you feel seen, inspired you, or just kept you company on a long drive, or better, over a run or a bike ride, I would be so grateful if you considered supporting it. Even a small amount helps keep it going, helps keep bringing the show to you for free. You can chip in at buymeacoffee.com/agelessathlete. Again, buymeacoffee.com/agelessathlete. You can find the link on the show notes as well. Thank you for listening and for being part of this.
So that happened when after 6 months in Brazil, her visa expired, and she has to leave. She left back to California, and we kind of break up. We kind of broke up a little bit. So we did. So okay, I say okay. I was really into to stay with her. also in love with her, you know. But she has to come back. She has her own career here, and then we kind of break up. And then I moved to South Brazil to pursue to be a surf photographer. And then I started learning all this, how the industry work, shooting in water. I started building my skills as a surf photographer. And after, I think, 6 months or so, I realized that it's really tough industry in Brazil back in the days, because back in the day, surfing was not big as today, and not much professional surfing making a lot of money, needed photos, and and by the time we start to reconnect with my wife, and then realize, like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go live with her, because that's a girl that I love, and California is a good place to continue pursue my dream to be a surf photographer. And then I moved to California and started my life here in 2004. So I moved with her and start working side jobs and go take photos much as I can. Almost every day I take photos. I learn the process. I study a lot of photography on my own, and started buying all the equipments I was I need, and my wife was a good support. She always supported me. She believed in my dream. And I remember using her credit card. Hey, I need to buy these equipments? And I put like this big lens on the credit card. It was a $7,000 credit card plus $5 in the camera. I was really serious. I was really serious. I was not messing around. I bought the best equipments that I know that I needed to have back in the day. And I started building my water housing, because I didn't have money to purchase another house in the top of the camera. And it was a big process. I was always focused to get it better and better and better. And then I started submit photos to the magazines, because back in the days was the only place you can display your work was in the magazine. And always was a very competitive industry. Like all the magazine has their staff. They have a senior staff photographer, a contributor photographer, and I was outsiders trying to get in. And to get in this industry, I have to be better than everybody's there. I didn't know anybody. I'm Brazilian, doesn't speak English well, and I have to be better than what they have. So I started comparing my photos with what I see in a magazine, and one point is I start to realize, oh, my photos is still good, is good as these ones in magazine. I can do this job, and then I start submit photos for magazines, and then I realized that it's very important to submit something you're really good on, because I'm sure they get a tons of emails of photographers showing photos like the same thing, same kind of photos. But I always try, when I got unique stuff, and then it's my chance. So I send, hey, my name is Fred. I'm a photographer. I would like to show my photo, and then I show something very good. I start getting into the industry, and people start knowing me more, and then I start contributing to magazine all over the world. I started getting good photos. I start sending and then I start publishing like everywhere. Basically, I did it everywhere: Australia, Europe, Brazil, and South Africa, and US. And I ended up doing like
Fred, sorry, let me just ask you a question here. So I'm curious, how long did it take before you got your break? How many emails, how many photographs did you keep sending? And I'm wondering if there was any dejection, any moments where you felt like, wow, I am trying to make it here, but this road is long and steep.
Yeah, definitely was a tough to get in this. I realized right away, like all the magazine in Brazil has their own photographer. They're not gonna give a chance to you that's outsiders to pay extra money to publish your photo. But after I started basically when I decided to be a profession to pursue in my career as a photographer in 2003. I think I quit my architect career and went to surf photography. Took I think it good 3 years to publish my first photo. 2 or 3 years. I remember my first good photo magazine was I was in Trestles, this competition, and I was shooting free
Mhm.
surf. I was shooting free surf in the water with film. A film you only has 336
Mhm.
photo. Is back in
Mhm.
the days it was so tough. So I got this air. This guy did a big air, and I was behind the wave, and I shot in the film and got
Mm.
this photo, and then I submit for the magazine, and they got paid. This magazine has the page number 10. It was the photo of the month, like a double spread,
Nice.
and it so was my first published. It was a
Who was the curious who? So you were at Trestles. Who was the surfer,
this.
and how much did you get paid for it?
Oh man, the surfer was I don't know. I don't remember his name right now because he's not in it. I don't see his anymore around. But he
Okay,
was.
that's okay.
I
Don't
don't.
worry.
Yeah,
But tell me.
yeah, but
So it took you
yeah,
3 years.
yeah. I got some a little money from Brazilian money. It was okay to have a double page in the magazine. Yeah, and then I was still working side jobs as a driver, the delivery food driver, and also I took like a internship on the model studio in Hollywood to understand the lighting stuff for free. I was working for free this exposure studio for models, so I learned a lot about lighting stuff, and I take any chance to understand the photography. I bought books. I remember I work as a delivery driver in this restaurant in Santa Monica that I have this shift that was only busy in lunchtime from 11 to 1 o'clock. And from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, it was totally dead for delivery. But there is a library across the street. So I spend these 3 hours in the library only study photography in the computer. And also, if you are interested in any books, you just tell the library, they buy for the library. So it was really
Right.
amazing. So I remember, like, I want to understand so about flash photography. So I give you the name for the library, and then in a month or so, they come with the new book. I started learning I spend like every day this time to learn stuff. So yeah, and then go in the water much as I can.
Libraries are, I think, one of our country's most undervalued resource. And yeah, I see local libraries here in San Francisco. They always try and do events to get people to the door. And it sounds like there was a good arrangement in a way because you needed these books to learn photography, but they also needed dedicated patrons like you to come in and suggest books that you wanted to read and to improve upon. Were you learning your craft in English? Like, was there a language barrier as well as you were both learning the craft, working at the studio, and then also navigating professional surf photography? Do you think that you also had to overcome some cultural and language barriers to get ahead? Hello, friends. Just a quick break. This is not an ad. If you have been enjoying these conversations, I would love for you to subscribe to my newsletter. It is where I go deeper, sharing stories, reflections, and behind the scenes insights that don't always make it into the podcast. I write about what I'm learning from elite athletes and how to stay ageless in body and mind. If you have ever wanted a thoughtful, inspiring read that ties it all together, training, aging, mindset, and awe, you will love this. You can find the link in the show notes or just head to agelessathlete.co. Again, www.agelessathlete.co, that is, to sign up. And yeah, just a couple of emails a month, and you can unsubscribe anytime. Absolutely no spam ever. Okay, back to the show.
Yeah, definitely. I still struggle with the language. Sometimes I feel I try avoid podcasts or interviews because I don't want to be embarrassed with my accent stuff. I never had a chance to go to school and learn it in the proper way. I always priority my time, what I needed to in priority.
Your language is
So
perfect. I don't know,
yeah,
whatever you tell yourself, your English is amazing.
yeah, it was really hard to try to learn something, and especially in your language. But that's was a way to learn the language. So I start like again these books and try to understand what they say in English. But the whole concepts, I totally understand it. For sure, I miss some details there here and there, but the whole concept, what the book was trying to tell me, I was able to understand, and that's helping me to, yeah, that's how I learn. I learn English like on my own, doing stuff that was interesting to me. But definitely was not being a Brazilian was another barrier to get into the industry.
You overcame several barriers, and then you also overcame maybe another kind of barrier to get into some of the special skills and techniques and resources needed to specialize in big wave photography. Let's jump right in into how you prepare for taking big surf photos, big wave surf photos. I'm guessing when you started out, you probably did not have all the equipment you needed, etc. So walk us through a little bit on how did you gear up for your first big wave surf photos? Did you start going by yourself? Did you have a jet ski when you started? Did somebody give you a break and Jeff Clark said, "Hey, I remember you, why don't you jump on board my jet ski and we can get you out there?"
I did everything in my own. Like I never have a mentor. Never have a mentor to guide me. I always was figure out my way to get into. I was always fascinated with big wave surfing, and I started going to up north in Mavericks in big swell to take a photograph. First few times, I definitely jump in the boat, and then I ended up meeting Jeff Clark with these another Brazilian surfers. We stay with his house. There is Danilo Couto, one of the guy I was traveling a lot uh, uh, in big swells, and Maya Gabera. So I jump in Jeff's ski a couple of times to take a photo. I saw right away I have to have a jet ski because that's a way to get closer to the action and be able to move around fast. And then when I won my first awards, Big Wave Awards, was in the XXL Billabong XXL Awards. I think it was in 2009. I got was my highlight of my career. I got this award is that I always dreaming about. And Jeff Clark was the guy who was giving the award. Everything was a kind of movie going to my mind. I say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here accepting this award for the best photo for the Big Waves the year. And
Amazing.
Jeff Clark was the guy in the show to present the awards. Everything was crazy. And then I got $5,000 cash, and this $5,000 I bought a jet ski. Was right away like,
Oh,
this is the money I'm going to invest 100% of this money to back to my career. So I bought a jet ski, and I have a little background at jet ski in Brazil, so I feel comfortable to drive a jet ski. So, and then turn it to be my specialty, to drive and shoot at the same time. So I'm able to, I'm able to drive my ski and move around and take the photos. So I think that's how make a difference. So I try understand what's going on in the ocean that day, and try to be the right spot to capture the best possible the action. The image can really show what's going on there, because everybody can jump in a boat with a big lens and shoot. So you can get a good photo here and there, but to be more constantly like get an image good, like you have to understand what's going on and try, capture the best way.
Yeah, I mean, I have taken photos from land and I have also put on fins and taken some photos from the water. But when you're again taking photos of big waves, that just throws things into a whole new dimension. Needing a jet ski is important. Is it common though for big wave photographers in general? Like, are you always on jet skis? Or do you sometimes, ditch the jet ski and put your fins on and jump in the water? So that's one thing I want to ask you because I do see that at places like Pipeline, you have photographers bobbing up and down, but let's say the wave is like 80 feet at Mavs. Do you do that sometimes? That's one question I have. The other is you talked about the special skill you have with being able to ride the jet ski and be able to take photos. That sounds crazy. Is that also common though, or maybe other photographers riding behind the jet ski driver as they are taking photos?
To shoot big wave surfing, more efficient way is to have a jet ski for sure, 100% sure, because big waves, we talk about like a 50 feet wave, 70 feet face wave. It's so much water move on. When the set comes, they move so much water to the reef. So it'll be impossible to swim all day long. Nobody will be, you can swim for a couple hours but you're not going to be able to move around like even a jet ski. I mean, the jet ski, sometimes the set comes way down, way back they break way back that I won't be able to see because there is another wave in the front of me. Imagine if you're in the water level, try to swim there. It's much more efficient to be on a ski, to move around. Like a place like a Maverick, like a Jaws, is so much a massive amount of water is moving around. You don't see much people, like you see people here and there in the water, but they basically capture photo. Someone push the limit a little harder, go stay under the lip on 50-foot wave to take a photo. You're gonna take this incredible photo, but we didn't see yet. So I'm sure one point it's gonna happen. But yeah, the most efficient way is to have a jet ski to be able to move fast to put in your position, so we don't miss it. Because big waves always have and one day the big wave, always someone's going to get the biggest wave of the day, doesn't matter what, or the biggest wipeout, or the biggest barrel. If you're not on a ski, the chance to miss that is super high. So I want to have a ski, so I pay attention what's going on, so don't miss the best important time of the day, because they don't come back. It's not like a regular surf. The guy go there and do a air 360 and come back, do another one 360. No, big wave is like always going to have someone going to catch the biggest wave. If you miss it, you out. So it doesn't make much sense, in my opinion, to try get in the water, because you're going to miss a lot of stuff. You can get incredible shot for sure here and there, but you're going to miss the most of important thing too. So but there is some few spots, like we talk about Pipeline, we talk about scale, small scale. The wave is still danger big, but it's not like we're not talking about 50, 60 feet wave. And Teahupu in Tahiti is a place you can stay in the water and get an incredible shot. That's a very unique spot. That's a unique spot. It's different than spotted. I go to Tahiti too, but my big wave spot I go the most is Mavericks at Jaws, where the water moves so much you cannot stay in the spot all the time. So I love the water shot. I shot so much water shot back in the days and barrel shots, but I start niche my career and big wave surfing, so I start to be more in be able to drive jet ski.
What you're saying makes sense, because I have not been to Pipeline or Teahupu, but those are very defined reef breaks. So maybe even from a photographer's perspective, as long as you're positioned well to balance both risk and also line of sight of the wave and the surfer, you can be in the water. But places like Mavericks or Jaws or maybe other big wave spots, like you said, there's so much water moving, and where the wave breaks can shift all the time. So the calculations change. So this is a listener question coming from Nick, which is, when shooting in dangerous conditions, right? When the swells are really big and there are other things going on, like how do you balance getting the perfect shot with ensuring your own safety, maybe even looking out for the safety of the athletes. Like, yeah, how do you find that balance? And then also, I'm curious if you ever found yourself in situations where you pushed the line too much.
I think it is coming natural from the years, no? After so many years doing the same thing, you start feeling more comfortable. I think it's the same thing about surfing, pushing the limit to the dropping deeper and deeper and steeper and steeper. So photographers too, like you feel more comfortable to drive close to the wave, and also you have to understand how the ocean is doing. Like that's a very important thing. Like after watch so many years, you understand how the wave starts shifting and swinging around and stuff like that. So you start feeling more comfortable to get it closer and closer to the action, and that's where you can get it more the photo of the impact photo, like the photo people say, wow, that's incredible, like you're there, like you're seeing the whole ocean exploding, like stuff like that. Is I think it can be very natural. And yeah, yeah, like a any extreme athlete, you try to push a little more, getting close, and definitely has some close calls and go too much, but too close to the wave or get in situation because you're dealing with mother nature, and we go to the ocean where any fisherman want to go, like the ocean is so big and nobody want to put a boat in the water, and then you go in this condition. Sometimes it's too crazy. Like definitely has even situation that stuff can go down pretty fast. But always trying to manage it. Everything can go wrong. In my mind, when I go, I always make sure my equipment is in perfect condition. If I have everything, if I have a radio, if I have a GPS, everything, because I got stuck in foggy back a few times. It's nightmare for jet ski, or forget put gas in your ski. You're out there and you figure out, oh my god, I don't have gas to go back or stuff like that. Just a lot of stuff can happen. So it's about preparation. Make sure our equipment is always in good condition, and is all the scenarios, what can happen, like if the weather is going to come, if the wind is going to come, if the foggy, or there is so much scenarios can happen. So I always imagine what can go wrong and try avoid everything.
And Fred, you have spent, over 2 decades now perfecting your craft. You have learned to assess, manage, control, push these limits over careful diligence. I was talking to Gary Linden on the podcast recently, right? And, Gary was talking about how big wave surfing these days is perhaps more dangerous, despite all these advancements in safety and all of that, than it used to be, because maybe there are all these people who are in the water trying to surf where they shouldn't be, because now they have safety vests and they think they can just go out there. I'm just wondering if there's a parallel with big wave photography as well, where maybe there are newer photographers, being reckless and endangering safety. Is that happening in the photo side of things also?
Yeah, definitely. Same thing in surfing and photography. You see a bunch of people show up in ski in big days, is not prepared, is not with the right equipment, and also they don't know if something go down, they don't know what should they do, So definitely that's the case too. Same thing in surfing. People see the big wave surfing grows so much in the last few 10 years, and people want to, I want to do that too. So, but they don't understand that people who was there surfing the big wave, they went to a process. They went to step by step. They built their confidence, and they surf big waves in another spot. They went to Port Escondido, they went for Hawaii until get it to Mavericks. Some people just want to go straight to Mavericks. They think the inflatable vest is going to work, and the rescue is going to be there for them. Same thing, photographer. You see, like people show up in the boats, not prepared, and don't understand how to read the ocean, because the ocean can change so fast. If you think you're safe in the channel, and that this big set coming can swing around and can get caught, flip the ski. I see a bunch of time boats flipping jaws. You have to save people inside, or a jet ski in Mavericks. That happen all the time too. You
Yeah,
know.
some of these big waves, they are so massive and dangerous. You are not even fully safe, even if you're on a big boat sometimes. And boats flip, not all the time, but boats flip often. So yeah, I guess interesting times to be living in, in even in the photography end of things. With taking amazing photos, the landscape is, let's say, one part of the equation, the beautiful, majestic ocean and these titanic waves. But the other side are these incredible athletes that you photograph. How important is your relationship with the athletes in your photos? And then how does it contribute to capturing, these authentic, raw, powerful moments?
Oh, it's an interesting question. Yeah. The community, the surf community, big wave surf community is kind of, I can consider is small. Like we ended up be everybody see each other every big swell, and we turn out to be a good friend. And yeah, and it's not only about the power of the ocean. Is the for sure is the performance. Like is how amazing see someone pushing the limit in crazy condition. That's how I get into big wave surfing. It's not about the waves themselves. It's about what the guys doing there. Because I always fascinated with this human being and put themselves in such a extreme situation. That's why I shift for surfing to big wave surfing, because I love the crew, these people, like they dedicate their lives for big wave surfing. They are real. They're real people. They're not doing this for famous or for something. They do it for themselves, and they really put their lives in line. But they understand to get it to the point where he can make it out life. Like is impressive to see someone in when the ocean is really big. Someone has the mindset to be in the right spot and turn his board and paddle for this crazy wave. That's definitely what's driving me to capture these moments. Like I want to capture this because this is very special to me. You know, this is special to me. Someone is capable to deal with a situation like that and come out alive and perform at a high level. And I always want to capture that, the best possible. That was my mission, I think. Follow the progress of the big wave surfing and capture the best way.
Yeah, the big wave community is special. It's a place where these athletes form bonds with each other, and even the photojournalists who are part of the experience. You have a unique vantage point, Fred, because you have seen some of these athletes perform, evolve, and stay resilient. I'm curious because the theme of this podcast also includes being ageless. I'm curious if you have seen some unique qualities that these enduring big wave athletes have, which allow them this kind of physical and mental toughness to go and keep charging some of these big waves.
Definitely, I think they have another way to view stuff. It's impressive. Some surfers can see some things possible where you think it is not possible. It can go to a condition that you think you're not going to survive, but they can understand and go there and make it happen, survive. That's incredible for sure. There is a few surfers that you see that they have another level of mental set, because you as a surfer, when the ocean is big, when you see a set come, your mind say go like a go out, like a paddle as fast as you can because you're gonna get it set on a head. But some people stay.
Yeah.
Imagine like the 50-foot face wave is coming, and someone sit there and stay in the right spot. They don't want to, your mind say get off there, but they have this. I don't know why they come from, but they have this mindset to stay in the position, turn and paddle for this. Yeah, that's the best thing of my career. See people pushing the limits of the sports, and I see so much evolution on big wave surfing since when I started, and now all these safety equipments right now change the level of big wave surfing. With all these inflatable vests, all this rescue team dedicated for team, push it even higher the level. You see people right now paddling in a wave you never imagined back in the day you'll be able to do it. Like it's really this. I feel like the sport is still have a way to go. I feel so much stuff changing in 20 years. I can imagine in 50 years and 100 years. I don't know how far we go, but that's the best thing is see the progression of the sports, see how far they can go.
One of my favorite, surf videos, let's say of Pipeline, is that moment when you see that outside set approaching and you see like 100 surfers, like all of them are racing to get away from the impact zone. And you see that one person turn around and try to catch that wave and make that late drop. I'm guessing you have learned over the years on identifying some of these, that one or two people who have that quality to turn around and make that drop. What are maybe, again, some of those qualities of those people, that you have learned and seen over the years who are able to rise above the rest? What is it about their mental toughness when they're making that, big drop into like an 80-foot wall that they can do that with confidence?
I believe they born with this. I believe they born with this ability to control their mind in critical condition. I think they have a different vision. It's the same thing when you see Alex Honnold climb El Cap free solo. So he has such a mindset that I feel like he born with this. He can put himself in such another level that he can deal with the stress or and also is very talented too. They're very talented to performance. I think it's a mindset with the talent to be performance. Yeah, I believe so. You can still work on our mindset, but I feel like a bunch of surfers, they already born with this mindset. I have a couple of friends that they don't even work out crazy. They don't have this crazy diet. I have a bunch of crazy mad dogs that drink wherever they feel like, but they feel very comfortable in extreme condition when the condition go a little like you see levels, like you see like a 20-foot swell, but when you go to 25, 30-foot swell, that 50, 60 feet face is a different group of people. There's a different mindset. There's different mindset. Sun is really well prepared. Sun is more mental prepared. They can handle the situation better because it's all about keep our, when you wipe out in this crazy wave, what you're gonna save you your mind. Keep your calm. Keep your calm and deal with the situation. If you freak out, you're gonna die. That's most important because if you see the number, like you wipe out, you don't stay 2 minutes under the water. You're not gonna stay 2 minutes in the water, but the 10 seconds make it like eternity. If your mind, so some people can deal. Yeah, some people can deal with this extreme situation pretty good.
Even within this already, very sort of niche adventure sport like big wave surfing, there are levels. I think that's what you're talking about, where the wave size can vary. I mean, it can be from the size of a house, which already is, in the top, let's say 2% of surfers' capability, But it can go from that to maybe the size of the Golden Gate Bridge, right? So you can
Hmm.
have these incredible variances in wave size. And I'm guessing that even within the ranks of big wave surfers, there are only a select few whose eyes light up when the waves get that big.
Yeah.
And I think what you're also saying is like this is some kind of almost like a primeval quality these humans have to be able to surmount any other limiting beliefs and go charge those waves. I mean, I spoke with Katie recently, somebody who you have photographed, and what inspired me about her surf was when she talks about getting pinned down by gigantic waves at Nazare, she can be so thoughtful and so descriptive about the experience, which I think is not like I've been held down by like much much more humble waves. But like when I talk about it, it's more about like, oh my god, I was so afraid, I was scared. Like it's a very different way I describe that stuff because again, I don't have that innate quality that you have witnessed in big ways, and you've seen some of these superhumans.
Yeah, they don't make a big deal of the hold down. They're more focused in their performance,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
how they
That's right.
stand in the how they stand in the barrel, how they perform. They don't talk. They don't care about the hold down was such a bit up,
And then, going back to you also, Fred, I mean, you have been doing this for a couple of decades now. How old are you now?
49.
Okay. You also have to bring a certain level of athleticism and toughness to your sport. Now, how do you maintain your fitness, both mental and physical, to keep up with the demands of your job?
Yeah, I always try to keep in shape. Like you never know when is the next step because I'm always standing by for any kind of mission, strike mission. My trip is never scheduled. I don't know if you ask me when it's gonna be the next one. I don't know. And always, and so I try to keep in shape. Doing besides surfing, I love surfing, but I like to surf when the wave is good. And it's not, as you know, it's not every day the wave is perfect, it's good. So, and I see so much good waves in my life. So I like to surf when the wave is really good. But when it's good, I surf like 3, 4 days in a row. But I'm doing a lot of climbing these days in the gym because my daughter get into the climbing from since when she was 6, 8 years old, and she decided to do join the team. So every time I take her to a class, I was able to climb because her I get into climbing. So right now is I love climbing so much. I'm a passion of climbing. I go to the gym every week, so it's one way to keep me in shape. And also I love mountain biking. I love go for a hiking, a long hiking.
Mm.
So I try to do different activities. So some bike rides give you a cardio, climbing giving me some strength, my muscle, and also my
Mm.
mindset. The climbing works a lot in mindset. Like
Mm.
you get in the wall, you get scary, stuff like that. It's good. It's good to keep your mind, your emotion, and hike, long hike, keeping my endurance. Yeah, always that's my routine. Going to different type of the year,
Mm.
like winter stuff is different, But right now, like these days, I have been going to. I think I can tell is going more for climbing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think adding variety and joy to one's fitness regimen, I think that goes a long ways to keeping it fresh and keeping the psyche going. And yeah, this is a great segue. We don't have a lot of time left, but I am fascinated, Fred. Like you are maybe one of the most unique photographers out there who are combining these two very different but equally amazing types of photography. You are capturing surf photos, you've been doing that for a while, but lately you have started weaving in epic climbing shots. So I'm trying to ask you, how did you get into climbing big walls? Because when we were chatting earlier, you were talking about how, yes, it's fun to go climb at the gym with your daughter, which is maybe a way to keep your skills fresh, also to get exercise. But when it comes to being outside, you are again going out for big, majestic, big walls. So, is there something you find in common between these two different elements that you are playing with? That you have decided that this is where you find the most wonder?
I discovered in climbing is like when I was after years shooting big wave surfing, you're not there surfing with these guys. You're not feeling the same thing, Like I was shooting, but it's different as physical. You're not like put your stuff in physical, extreme. And I feel like I was missing something on me because I love big wave surfing too, but I never has time to dedicate my life to surf big wave because you have to dedicate. Then when it's big, the wave it's not big all the time. So, but when the waves get big, I go work. I cannot go there to practice. So I never had a chance to dedicate my life in big wave surfing, and I never go to, every time it's big, I have to go work. So I find in climbing something that I was looking for, I love the adventure side of climbing, the mindset, the exposure of nature. And I have a chance to meet Nicola Martinez. He was a great climber. Today we were great friends. And he took me this amazing experience in climbing. And I saw this fantastic group of people doing almost basically the same thing the big wave surfing doing, expose themselves to the limits for big adventure, big walls climbing. So I compare big wave surfing with big wall climbers a lot. The way they are, the values they have, the ego. They don't have that much ego because when the wave is big, where are you going to put your ego? So they're very humble and they are real people. They're extreme athletes. It's incredible how much these people can handle. After seeing a few trips I did with Nick, I realized the big wave climbing is incredible, and I love this kind of group of people. And I have a chance to do this amazing climbing Yosemite with Nick, and open my eyes for different things. So I now in these days I love to go and capture these amazing moments of big wall climbing, and this guy pushing the limits. And I was able to see Alex Honnold in a wall trying to do a speed record in El Capitan is something so blow my mind how this guy is doing there, like at the same thing I see people trying to drop.
Did you just happen to, I know that when you take surf photos, I mean, there's so much preparation that goes into that. When you took, I think I saw that photo you took of Alex. Was that preparation or just good luck?
That was a good luck.
Okay.
I think when you put your mind into something, all the energy come together and stuff happen. Stuff in surfing happens so much times with me, when you're focused and your energy in that, make you be in the right moments. It's crazy, make a right decision. And that trip in El Capitan with Nick was so special when he invited me to go to do this big wall climbing El Capitan for 4 days in a wall. It was so special. And I was lucky that I was in this part of the wall, so critical. I was so high. I was almost 3,000 feet. And then I saw Alex coming. I was able to prepare my position and got the shot. It was the highlight of the trip for sure. Yeah.
Coming towards the end of the conversation here, one last question I have is, you have taken some really powerful photos of other sports outside of big waves. climbing is one of them, but I think you've also taken photos of some other sports. Are you ever going to try and take those in a commercial direction, or will those be mostly a hobby with your core focus, you think, staying with surf?
I think I'm always gonna stay with surfing. I think I still have a lot of stuff to see and be with surfing. I love it, be there in the biggest days, but every time I see opportunity for a good climbing expedition, a good a group of people, I think it's very important to. I think in stage of my life, I love to spend my time with people I like around me. So every time is a group of good people invited me to do some good expedition, I'm totally open to do it. So if I see this experience, this opportunity in climbing, I definitely is going to do it. But my main focus is still going to continue seeing what's happening big wave surfing for sure.
What are maybe some of your upcoming big projects, if you don't mind sharing some of your aspirations with what you want to get done with?
I still want to go to some different spots I never had a chance to go. There is a lot of spots in Australia or Portugal or Ireland, stuff like that. I never had a chance. I always want to balance my time with my family, and it's not easy to get out and stay for a couple months traveling around. If you was a single guy, I didn't have a place to live. I'd be travel all over the world. But I love it. I love the way I have my family, my kids, and yeah. But if I have a chance, I love to go check a different big wave spot for sure.
Some final questions before we end. Who are maybe a couple of your favorite surfers to photograph?
Oh, it's hard. There's a few good ones. Oh, I love Layer. His mindset, his approach in big wave surfing, I think is a next level. I love Yuri Soledad. The passion he has in big wave surfing, the way he's approaching when the ocean is getting really big. Yeah, there's a few new generation kids that just showing up that he doing crazy things so young. So I'm excited to see what they're gonna come up in the next few years. No, there's a few new kids.
It's incredible. Yeah, like some of these new kids, they treat surfing giant waves like almost like normal waves, and it's ridiculous what they're doing. You mentioned a couple of places. What is a dream wave, Fred, that you would like to both surf and also take photograph?
That I've never been before.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's this wave in Australia they call the Right. It's a big slab wave with a good light. Yeah. Some places it's a combine about big, powerful wave and a good light condition. When I see every time I see these photos from the place, the light is so beautiful, and the wave is so dramatic, and the wave is so powerful that I'm sure I love to be there in a good day with a good light condition to capture this impressive, powerful wave for sure. Yeah,
that's. Would you also try to surf it? I've seen some images, some media of the Right, and it looks very, very scary.
No, the wave is I'm sure the wave is very dangerous and scary. I don't think I would love to surf. That kind of wave. Yeah, I love it. I love to surf some wave, but
me neither. Me neither.
Yeah.
A couple of final fun questions. A lot of people look up to your photography. Who are a couple of photographers that you find as role models? Doesn't have to be in surfing.
Oh, there's a few, inspiring, like Jimmy Chin in the mountain is incredible. He go to this expedition beside a photographer. He's an incredible athlete. That's so good. I see he's pushing his limit to capture, Chris Burkhardt is an incredible photographer too.
Oh, sure.
His landscape stuff, and it's incredible. And yeah, there's a bunch of guys. There is a different eye, different way to express themselves. Like,
The same people inspire me as well. What has been the best use of $100
oh my
that
gosh.
you've had in the recent? It doesn't have to be the exact amount.
I don't know. Maybe last week I put $100 gas in my truck and took my girls to Kings Canyon to amazing camp trip. I think that's the way I like to spend my money. I love having fun with my daughters, my families. I think it was the best way to spend my money now.
You talked about how your mom really wanted you to finish architecture school and become an architect. You took a very different turn. Have you made your mom proud?
100%. My mommy, for sure. She was the only one always support me to stop in my when I stopped in my career, when I stopped in my university to go for 1 year trip in California. She was the only one. They say go and come back. And when I decided to move to California to pursue my dream, she was always on my side, and she always supported when she see my photos in the magazine. She buy the magazine, she show people. She was always proud of the path I was going through, and she's happy in what's going on. She's not here right now. She was not here right now, but I'm sure.
And Fred, finally, where can people find your amazing work? I know you have an Instagram account, and we will link to that. Any other place where they can find your work and maybe even have a chance to buy any of your prints?
Yeah, I think the best place to look for photos is social media these days, and Instagram for sure. But you still can go to my website, fredpompermayer.com. So I still have a bunch of options from waves or mountain stuff. So if someone like to buy some prints, just contact direct and you go from there for sure. I'd be happy to.
The moment this episode ends, friends, you guys have to go to Fred's website and Instagram. He makes incredible pictures. Finally, Fred, is there a way listeners to the show or the show can be of benefit to you? We will have people going to your website and whatnot, but is there any other way that they can support what you're doing?
It's always, it's good to hear some good comments. Sometimes it make a big difference for someone. Like we put so much effort to capture good photos, and when you hear someone talk about how happy they are or how inspired they are seeing that, is really important, because we as photographers are behind the scene all the time. So, and I love when someone comes send me a message or comment something like that make her day better or inspire to go there or to do something. That's I love to hear.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. You put so much on the line to create beautiful art, and to get honest feedback and appreciation means a lot. Take it from this fan. Love your photos, and can't wait to see what you do next, Fred. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Wow, what a fun ride that was with Fred Pompermayer. Fred's journey from a landlocked Brazilian kid dreaming of waves to becoming one of the world's top adventure photographers is one in a million. It's a perfect example of how passion knows no age limit. Fred's story reminds us that it's never too late to chase your dreams or pivot your career. From plastering his walls with surf magazines as a kid to switching from architecture to photography as an adult, Fred shows us that our interests and skills can evolve throughout our lives. His unique perspective on extreme sports reveals common threads across different adrenaline-pumping activities, highlighting how the spirit of adventure can keep us young at heart. Fred's mission to inspire people to experience the real world is particularly powerful in our digital age, reminding us that True vitality comes from engaging with life firsthand, regardless of our years. Whether you are into taking photos, outdoor sports, or just looking for some inspiration to shake things up, I hope Fred's story lit a fire under you like it did for me. Remember, sometimes the most amazing journeys start with a single step, or in Fred's case, a single click. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ageless Athlete, well, where we prove that age is just a number when it comes to continuing to pursue our passions. Keep pushing those boundaries, keep having fun outside, and stay ageless, my friends.
Friends, this is not an ad. This is just a quick message to those amongst us who are listening to Ageless Athlete podcast for the first time. I would love it if you would hit subscribe and follow on your favorite podcast app, whether it's Apple Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher or Overcast or what have you. We bring you stories and routines and other inspiration from elites in the world of the best outdoor sports. In each episode, you will find how these athletes stay connected to the outdoors, maintain peak performance, and continue to thrive as they age. I encourage you to look through Brad episodes and listen to a couple and see if they resonate. And then, come back next week. We release an episode each week. And I am really inspired to bring you some of the best stories from the world of the outdoors. Okay, back to the show.